Okay, this is Ringwalk Media in association with Ice Therapy. We've got a legend in front of us, Paulie Malignaghi. Amazing to speak to you, friend.
How you doing, man? How's it going?
Very, very good. And what a massive, massive card we've got here in Manchester this week.
Yeah, I'm very excited. The buzz is sort of in the air now. You know, I've come from out of town, and the press conferences today really raise it up a little bit. You know, you first of all noticing the undercard press conference. It's a terrific show, and then the main event, a little bit of getting under each other's skin. Get you really excited for the anticipation.
I'm really, really pleased to see Florian Marku back in business. Fraser Clark there winding him up to have a little fun and games in the face-off. It's great to see him, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Marku is always one of the more exciting fighters in the sport. I think you know, he generates a lot of fanfare. If you notice when he fights, even on undercards, there's a ton of fans there cheering for him. Albanians support in numbers, and Florian has a big amount of numbers behind him. He's a veteran of several combat sports, so it kind of speaks for itself. But you've got other guys. You've got Fraser Clark, you mentioned him against Dave Allen. I mean, Dave Allen, I can remember being one of the big characters in British boxing, and he was pretty good at one time. I'm wondering what he has left now against Fraser Clark. That should be an interesting one as well. And of course, Adam Azim is one that always excites people. He's one of the rising stars of the sport in British boxing, and I think he'll be around for a long time. So continuing to see his progression and his not shying away from tough competition is really something nice to see in the sport.
And he's not rushing, is he, Fraser? He's taking his time, he's picking the right fights, and this is going to be a bit of a tear-up, I think, between the two of them, because they know each other very well.
See, I disagree. I think he is rushing. I think he's rushing into some high level. I mean, this guy, he's fighting. He's like 23-1, right? 22-1. I mean, Fraser. I mean, Adam only has a handful of fights, less than 10 pro fights. You know. So I think he's also capable of doing that, and that's what makes him sort of special. You know, I think he's not shying away from, you know, fighting more difficult competition at such a young age. Sometimes you got to take your time, sort of maturing these young prospects, because different prospects mature at different ages. So it's kind of difficult to tell which ones you can move faster and which ones you can't. Because, you know, sometimes you've got the right prospect, you move him too fast and you ruin him. And sometimes you've got a great prospect, you move him too slow and he becomes lackadaisical because he's kind of bored, right? So it's an art to kind of moving a fighter up the ladder. And I think boxers have done a really good job with Adam so far. And he's not shying away from anything they put in front of him.
No, definitely not. And it's great to see Michaela Mayer, former unified world champion, moving up a weight. She's a little bit happier and she's got some big fights in her sights.
Yeah, anytime you have to lose less weight, you're a little bit happier. You get to eat a little more.
Well, I know all about that.
A little bit, no?
And listen, of course, last night saw the premiere of Ricky Hatton's Sky documentary.
Oh, how'd that go?
Well, you're in it.
He's got the town, man. I didn't even know. They should have invited me.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's here. Of course, he's here.
No, I'm saying.
Oh no, here? No, he's probably he had one or two little beverages last night, so he's enjoyed it.
You know what? He's earned one or two beverages, in the least.
But he mentions you in the film and how instrumental you were in his story. It must be amazing to remember those times.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's all part of the chapters in our careers, you know, and I can remember the thing I can remember most about being in and around Ricky was that whole year it was a talk about the fight and the British fans, the British media really hyping it up, and then fighting at what is now Etihad Stadium and all that stuff, and the hair and all that other stuff, you know. I mean, and then obviously it all culminated with the Ricky fight itself. It's still, listen, I mean, I would have liked to win the fight, but ultimately the experience in and of itself, I think, was something I can look back on fondly, because it wasn't just the fight. It was so many other things, and it was so much fun.
What was it like standing in the ring with 40, 50,000 people just cheering for the opposition? It couldn't have been much fun for you.
Listen, in the ring, when I fought in the ring at Etihad, it wasn't against Ricky, it was against Love Morendo.
Of course, yeah.
But I was already on their bad side because I was slagging Ricky, knowing I was going to fight him after that. So they weren't really on my side, you know. But I always embraced playing the villain role, you know, and I kind of embraced it. And I think the fans, it was always tongue-in-cheek, but I think the British fans kind of understood that. I don't always think other fans understood that, but I think the British fans always understood that. And I think it's because British culture has had characters, you know, in it, like all the rock stars they had in the 80s and 70s and whatnot. They've had these wacky cultural type of phenomenons, you know, and then Nassim Ahmed came with all his stuff. So I think the Brits could always appreciate that kind of personality. And I think they'd always realize it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but they were still giving me a hard time.
Well, you're very much loved here on these shores, so you're fine now. Listen, I know time's tight, so we have to be quick. Of course, the main event, Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. Revenge or repeat, what do you think?
You know, it's interesting because everybody, the first time around, we were wondering if Smith had a chance, and that's sort of disrespectful to an ex-world champion like Smith. And he come in and showed us why he did have a chance by knocking out Eubank. Now it's all about, oh, does Eubank have a chance? All of a sudden, it's funny how fickle the people in the media are. But in reality, who needs to make the adjustments? Because Eubank was doing very well until he got knocked out, right? So is Smith going to rely on himself just catching Eubank again? Or is he going to make some adjustments to where, you know, he can prevent Eubank from picking up so much momentum early in the fight? Because if you're banking on losing the early rounds every single time and then catching a guy with a shot and knocking him out, you're banking on catching lightning in a bottle, which doesn't always happen. So people seem to think that Eubank has to make the adjustments. Certainly Eubank has to make mental adjustments. But I think Liam Smith also has to make physical adjustments. So yeah, that's why we're having the rematch, because we really don't know which direction it could go.
Well, listen, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be an absolutely packed house, 20,000 people in Manchester. Paulie, always great to see you here, and we look forward to seeing you around, and let's have a great night on Saturday.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, man. Cheers.